There were nearly 150 presentations at New York Fashion Week, and the runways were alive with chocolate walls, Voguers, streakers, and of course, classic designs.
Yeah, and here with a catwalk recap is fashion critic Kibwe Chase Marshall.
I feel like that was it. That was the recap right there.
That was the
I
recap?
could go.
Okay.
That pretty much was it.
Well, it was nice having you. No, kidding. Well, Kibwe, I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Alexander Wang, he showed in Brooklyn. How did he get the fashion elite to go all the way to Brooklyn? You know, a lot of these fashionistas think Brooklyn is a whole other country.
Yes and no, because right now, all of the fashion industry is obsessed with Brooklyn.
Oh, really?
Brooklyn is in the house.
Really?
Right now, yeah. You can think about Solange Knowles and Alexa Chung and Chloe Sevigny, all sort of, proclaiming that Brooklyn is the now. So it wasn't difficult, and technically, they didn't quite have to take the L train. They got water taxied.
Oh. Now, do you think this will lead other shows to be in Brooklyn now?
I think logistically it's a bit difficult, and the way the show week always works out, politically it'll be tough to vie with shows that are in Manhattan to get everyone to come out to Brooklyn unless you're an Alexander Wang. But, you know, he definitely did something historic. Yeah.
Okay, so what did you make of the show?
I think that show is going to be really influential because it really sort of pulled true cold weather clothing into a very chic and exciting space. It's all sort of alpine, futuristic, a lot of utility, and that's something that is both functional and sort of exciting to wear. So I think we'll really be looking at that stuff going forward.
I like that. Function meets fashion. That's a good thing.
Novel.
Now talk to us about Hood by Air, because they seem to be getting a lot of buzz lately. What do you think it is about the line that's making it so popular? So
Hood by Air is all about sort of bringing together this gothic sensibility with this super urban gritty sensibility. It's something that Ricardo Tisci does at Givenchy, but at Hood by Air, it's really New York in its energy.
Yeah.
I think Shane, the creative director of Hood by Air, continues to evolve that aesthetic, so it's not stagnated. This season, it was really leather-driven, which felt sort of even tougher than usual for them, but also had some tongue-in-cheek with hair extension, headbands, and it was really dynamic in as well the staging, because Shane had a crew of New York's top Vogue figures in the ballroom scene come in and perform. Yeah, and
so
it was
there was energy on the catwalk.
Amazing energy that Robin Givhan wrote about for New York Magazine.
That's
she
a good
loved
question,
it.
Shannon.
Did the crowd start voguing too? How did they react to it?
The crowd did not start voguing because you know when people are voguing, you don't want to get in there because you might get chopped.
Really?
You might not get a 10, you might get a chop. So no one started voguing, but everyone their eyes were glued.
Okay. I didn't know it was so serious. They had Vogue troops, like professional Voguers.
No, that was like breakdancing battles back in the day. Like you would get, chopped. Like it's like don't come.
I'm close to the edge. Gotcha.
Yeah, it was like that. But I digress.
Yes, please.
Okay, sorry. Let's talk about Marc Jacobs' show.
Well, you know, Marc Jacobs historically is the hot ticket show on the New York Fashion Week calendar.
Yep.
This season, though, he got a little competition from Alexander Wang, but it's almost like if he knew ending the week, he had to really do something amazing. So he did this sort of celestial, sort of dreamscape show where the model sort of looked like 70s fashion illustrations walking right off the page onto the streets of New York. The music was a really sort of like poetically read rendition of Happy Days Are Here Again over classical music. It felt like some people would say a trip.
Like
others
an acid trip.
An acid trip or an ambient trip, depending on what your fancy is. But definitely one of the most well-received shows of the week. And very classic Marc as well.
Classic Marc. Okay, Kendall Jenner. Reality star.
Yeah.
Kardashian Kendall.
I mean,
she walked in the show. Bleached eyebrows, bob wig.
Yeah.
Nipples out. No one recognized her at first in the immediate, but then all of a sudden obviously blew up. Will this boost her modeling career? And does having a Marc Jacobs stamp of approval, will it have any impact?
You know, it's funny because Kendall Jenner sits at a very lucrative intersection, that of celebrity and now potentially fashion. So if you know actresses have replaced models on covers of magazines,
Yes.
but yet still every MC is rhyming about models. Kendall Jenner is sitting right at that intersection, and so definitely there's 20 million people pitching her 20 million things as a result of walking in this show.
Right.
It's about where she wants to take it, and I'm sure with a mother like hers, it's going to be harnessed.
Yes.
No one's going to drop that ball.
No one's going to drop that ball. You know, Kendall Jenner was actually sitting next to Anna Wintour at a show in London, so that's also a good sign.
I'm sure that was purely by coincidence.
Well, you know, Kanye's been pushing to get Kim Kardashian on the cover, but maybe the Kardashian that ends up on the cover is Kendall. You never know.
Or even better.
North.
Okay, no, I like this one because Anna Wintour was also sitting next to Lupita Nyong'o at the Calvin Klein show. So could a cover on Vogue be in her future?
Well, no one can say for sure, but I will say this, that getting that next to Anna's seat at a show is not an easy feat.
No.
And definitely Lupita is being groomed in that ingenue lane that can land her if she has the right next project, a Vogue cover. So fingers crossed, we would love to see her on the cover. We all know how historic that would be.
Okay, so, well, Darte, you got to tell us about this show because it was, you know, very futuristic. The sisters duo went Star Wars on us. What did you make of this, and will this stuff sell? Because I can't necessarily see Lola walking down the street in a Yoda dress.
So,
And you won't see it. You won't see it ever.
This is where we become challenged as, I don't want to say elder statesmen, but not the newest guard. We are not the spring chickens in the fashion industry anymore.
Who isn't?
And those 80 babies are coming up. And their nostalgia moment is the mid-'80s.
Okay.
So Star Wars and lunchboxes and all of the tchotchked plastic gadgetry of the 80s is their reference for nostalgic, sort of their home base.
And Kibwe, I get all that, but I'm saying Luke Skywalker on a dress. Yoda on a dress. Jabba the Hutt on a dress. Who is going to buy that?
Hey, listen, as long as there's a Gaga, a Nicki, an Iggy Azalea, and an Azalea Banks, these clothes have backs on which to rest.
Really?
Yeah.
Good point. So maybe more customized outfits, not necessarily on every show.
That is the aesthetic of a younger generation of fashion aficionado. I push myself to get in there and Nene and Dougie with the kids.
Really? Okay. Well, I'll stick with my old Star Wars T-shirt and call it a day.
All right.
I'm not spending $3,500 on a Yoda gown, Shannon.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
It's not happening.
You got it.
Can we talk about chocolate walls?
Maxwell's new single?
No, not that.
Sorry.
Good guess, though. Good guess, though.
Chocolate walls, literal chocolate walls at the opening ceremony show.
At the opening ceremony show.
Do you need all of those theatrics to sell clothing? Chocolate coursing down walls?
Okay, well, let's think a little bit about opening ceremony. Opening ceremony is sort of this luxury destination shopping boutique for grown-up kids is how I always think about it.
Okay.
You literally go in and you feel like you're in a fun factory. So they often play with that sort of grown-up kid energy. And I will say that even though that staging had a lot of energy behind it, it didn't overpower the clothing because the clothing this season, sort of Belgian folklore reference, was beautiful. They did these prints that were large magnifications of fingerprints.
Oh.
And so there was a lot built into the clothing. So I think there was, you know, the sizzle and the smoke and the mirrors and all that, but there was also the substance.
Okay. All right. Speaking of substance, there was a streaker at Probable, and he was showing off his package.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, he certainly was. And
Yes.
I will say this. First of all, Probable's show was fab. Probable sort of did this nomadic homage to sort of like these metropolitan roamers, you might think of them. Swaddled in knitwear. Great. And to top it off, there was a streaker. And to top it off, the streaker was in great shape, honestly.
That helps.
Because we've dealt at times with streakers that maybe didn't, or I don't know, maybe they needed to strip down to like
A turtleneck.
shorts and a t-shirt.
Right.
But this, you know, this was a very toned, Pilates, sort of carb-free streaker, so why not?
All right, so before you go, besides the streaker, what was your favorite show of the week?
I have to say, I always sort of go back to the very metropolitan New York sportswear, so I always am a fan of Derek Lamb. Had a wonderful show.
Yes.
And this season as well, I loved Narciso. Now, Narciso has been flying a little bit below the radar recently, but he showed this collection that was so organically precise and easy in tailoring. It was like everything was spot on. It was a symphony. It was beautiful.
Well, you were spot on today too, so thank you for your contribution.
Thank you for having me.
We're gonna vogue you on out.
Right.
Yeah.
Vogue out. And we've been showing the fashion all week, so tweet us about your favorite designer at Arise TV 360.